What's up, everybody? I'm the Layman, and welcome to Volume 8, or my look at Volume 8 of RWBY Volume 5. And, there's just no other way to say it. It's Volume 8 of RWBY. So, things are going to happen. Like, ever since Volume 3, that's basically been their business model. So, let's just get down to it. And it actually starts out on a very low key note. Like it's at the place in Haven where everybody's staying. It's probably early morning, judging by the sun. RWBY, Yang, and Weiss are they're introduced one at a time, but they're all just sitting out there having a nice morning cup of coffee until the subject of Blake is brought up, which, as one might expect, is still a bit of a sore spot for Yang, because was basically kind of run out on a year ago and everything, and has not seen Blake since, so those wounds are probably still festering. I mean, I know they are. I mean, you gotta hand it to her. Yang's been dealing as well as she can. I had to do that. But yeah, Yang basically gets angry and goes back inside, huffy and the like, just sitting alone in her room. Cut briefly to Menagerie for the faunus in question, who stealthily receives a note saying for her to come alone, signed Ilya, because we all know that totally is never a trap at all. Totally not. No way Blake is gonna follow up on something so obviously meant to entrap her. Cut back to Menagerie. Haven, excuse me. Cut back to Haven. In Yang's room, Yang's looking forlornly at a picture of Team RWBY all together, which is still kind of sad when you really think about it. Until Weiss comes in and basically sits on the bed opposite the one Yang's on, and actually does a makes very effective use of the silent treatment, and sort of gets Yang to admit what's the matter that way. Yeah, well, once Yang finishes ranting, Weiss actually reveals that she does actually kind of know what Yang is going through. If not exactly, then more or less the same kind of general thing. Which, nice to have some more backstory on Weiss. It definitely gives us a much better look into her character and why she was the way she was at the beginning of Volume 1. But ultimately, yeah, she's holding out hope that Blake will eventually make her way to Haven and them, and that Yang should have some faith in her, and for whatever reasons Blake had for leaving that a year ago. And again they share another nice tender moment, and really, really making me want the entire freaking team to be back together. But seriously though. And then RWBY comes in and they basically confirm that everything's cool again. And that was nice. We're finally actually addressing that little tidbit. Even if technically that scene also held one of the worst moments of animation from this entire volume so far. Considering the quality that we've seen up until this point, that's saying something. Although, if that's the biggest complaint I have so far of this volume, then they're doing something right. After that, we cut back to Menagerie, and as you would expect, Blake goes to the alley alone, and Ilya is waiting for her. Big shocker. Apparently unarmed, as in she doesn't even have her weapon on her. And Blake tries to, do the whole come with us thing, but of course, Ilya's been brainwashed enough that it doesn't work, and she basically springs the trap. And we see, and yeah, she had 3 other Faunus pals with her, Spider Faunus, Bat Faunus, and one of Indeterminate. Spoilers, I'm recording this almost a week after I actually watched this. I don't remember exactly what the guy was, if he was anything. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But Trap Sprung Blake is tied up in some spider webbing, and they're not going to kill her just yet. They're going to bring her over to Mistral, and Adam and he'll probably deal with her himself, but it doesn't mean the parents need to come along too, is basically what they say. And after Ilya walks off with the Bat guy, that's when Sun jumps in and basically knocks the one other guy Faunus out, and Blake punches out the spider lady who had her wrapped up, and they basically, both of them, hoof it back to her place, where fighting's already broken out by this point. I mean, Callie's ducked down behind a table, is holding out against some grunts. Gira's really, actually surprising. He could probably take everybody single-handedly, but he's got another guy with him. But he's also a grunt, so he doesn't last long. He was probably wearing his red underwear that day. And the two Faunus who I do not like and can't even be bothered to remember their names, but they're clearly evil. They're there, and they're gonna fight Gira, excuse me. And then basically the last shot of the episode is him ripping off that coat thing he wears and claws out. He's clearly ready to go at these guys. And just, that coupled with the fact that last episode we saw Cinder and company at Raven's Bandit Camp. Yeah, it's basically, Rooster Teeth is basically dropping the hammer for this volume. It's time for the action to start happening again. And aside from that, I guess the other important thing of note in this episode is that it's basically confirmed that Ilya, yes, she has feelings for Blake that are clearly not going to be reciprocated, and were not reciprocated way back when they were still friends. And yeah, there's some resentment there, which is why Ilya is probably doing all this in the first place, because she basically is thinking, well, I can't convince Blake of this. Blake clearly hasn't noticed how I feel about her. Let's just watch the world burn. I don't know. I'm not Ilya. I wouldn't know. I've not actually gone through that kind of thing before in my life. But action's starting to go down, guys. Clearly, some of the questions I have stated in earlier videos have not been answered yet, but a lot has, and a lot has started to be put into motion. So let's just see how the dominoes start falling this time. I want Team RWBY to get back together. Let's be honest. I want Neptune back in the picture too, because dang it, Weiss needs somebody to hug. Blake and Yang need to get back on the same team and, talk about what happened and clear the air between them. And just many things need to happen, but the only way I'm not a writer, so the only way we'll know for sure is to keep watching, which I plan on doing. So until episode 9, I will see you guys later. There's a day when